how do you get comfortable with the edges? So for me, I always consider myself a very risk averse person, and I started taking like these little. Have you heard of the I am driven test or like your Colby score or any of those kinds of tools?
I've heard of the Colby. I haven't heard of the I am driven one
Okay,
before.
so the I'm driven one, it's basically to assess it'll give you the 95% of the population. It's like this little gray circle and then where you fall in relationship to the populace. So are you within that gray circle? Are you an outlier in one or many or all areas? And it I believe is kind of an assessment of if you have ADD or ADHD, and there's a link between that and high functioning creatives and just like very successful entrepreneurs. Like they were saying something like a very high percentage of high performers will actually be in like this red outward bubble. So I took all these tests because of this person that I met and he wanted me to do them before a phone call and I was like, I'm probably going to be I don't have ADD. I don't have any of these things. Well, according to my Colby score and I am driven, I'm supposed to be this crazy risk taker and I look at previous careers and I was like, okay, well maybe this could have been defined as risky behavior. I just wasn't identifying it as it. And then I realized where I have so much fear almost subconsciously around taking risks, especially around business that's not even mine. It's like scarcity mindset maybe given to me by a parent that was too scared to take risks themselves. So I've had to reestablish what I want around risk taking and being bold and being creative and say, like, no, I can be this person that can be comfortable on the edges and take risks. I just have to unpack a lot of my previous programming. So, what was your route to being able to develop these courses and start new businesses and be a very successful photographer and creative?
Yeah, I think part of it was also that like thinking that like always I feel like there's more. It was like when I was younger, it was like I was in this religion. I was always like, there feels like something more, and that was like that this curiosity of the world. And then I started traveling, and traveling started opening my eyes to what was out there. And then I read Tim Ferriss's 4 Hour Work Week a long, long time, when I was like 21 or whatever, and that was so much of a eye opening piece of like, oh, I can design my life the way that I want to. And so I've always had that philosophy. And so I think there's just always been like part of that creative mindset for me was just like taking risks and not like one of my first when I got into photography, I convinced a nonprofit design client of mine to split the expenses on a trip to Africa to build them a photo library. And I had no idea what I was doing. I was like, oh, I could do this. And I just like figured it out as I went. And that's probably also it's like the creative problem solving on the fly, right? Like you're always gonna figure it out, right? And then I also think there's like a belief in like the universe or whatever that like everything like obviously like our thoughts create our reality, right? So if we
Mhm.
believe that everything's gonna work is working out for us, there is that element. You're also shifting and shaping your reality with that belief system as well, which is also that creative mindset. So you're creating your reality through your thoughts and through your emotions. I don't know if you looked into Joe Dispenza much.
Yeah, I am actually like rereading a bunch of his stuff right now. His work is fascinating, and a lot of the examples he gives are going to sound sci fi, but they are 100% real, based off of actual studies or even like personal anecdotal evidence, is just mind blowing on how much you can shift in just like eliminating negative self talk and how we're making ourselves sick. And yeah, I highly recommend all of his books to everybody.
Yeah, Becoming Supernatural changed my life. I was that book was so fascinating to me because it brought the science behind all the woo woo stuff that you've heard about, this new
Mhm.
agey stuff, this woo woo stuff. But like his work just really helped me kind of understand that from a scientific perspective and to see what they're doing now. Like it is insane. I've talked to people who've been to his workshops, and they're like people are getting up out of wheelchairs and healing cancer and just through meditation. And he also talks about like when your thoughts and intentions match your elevated emotions, it's when you start creating and manifesting. I'm
Mhm.
sure Emily talked a lot about this as well. And
Exactly. Yeah,
uh,
she was using him as an example, and I guess she's done some of his seminars, and she was like, "Well, he's doing something very similar to what she's doing, but she's just bringing pleasure into it. So it's like if you could do one without the other, why? Or if you could do one and have it be more pleasurable, why not? And in her theory, that pleasure is this very heightened state. Like it is one of the most heightened states. So it's just a massive magnifier for manifestation.
Yeah, exactly. Sex magic is its pleasure is like a high frequency. So if you're like creating from that space and creating from that emotion, then you are creating your reality from that space. And so going back to what we were talking about, creation is also in the thought space and the emotion space. And so I think creating thoughts that are positive, that you're going to be okay, that like everything's like working out for you. These things also help, I don't say mitigate risk, but they shape shift you from taking those risks or having it be such a risk, I should say.